Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome you to the seventh explainer in our ongoing series, Human Consciousness in the Context of Indian Knowledge Systems and Modern Sciences. Today, we are exploring a deeply fascinating topic, one that really sits at the very core of who we are. It's titled The Necessity of Studying Human Consciousness. Now, I want you to just think about it for a second. Our minds are literally the single filter through which we experience the entire universe. Every single joy, every new discovery, every deep connection we make with another person, it all happens right there, inside your awareness. Yet this incredible, kind of abstract phenomenon of subjective experience, it remains one of the absolute greatest frontiers in neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, and spirituality. So why must we dedicate so much time and energy to studying the mind? Well, the gravity of this question is immense because the answer impacts not just our individual personal development, but the very survival and advancement of human society itself. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. You might actually recognize this famous phrase from the philosopher René Descartes, cogito ergo sum, or translated, I think, therefore I am. Now, this isn't just some catchy historical soundbite you memorize for a philosophy test. It is the ultimate bridge between subjective, internal experience and objective, observable science. You see, Descartes was emphasizing that the very act of conscious thinking is the undeniable proof of our existence. It's the absolute foundation of our personal, individual identity. Studying consciousness has to begin precisely here, at this realization. The fact that we have the ability to reflect on our own existence, to literally think about the fact that we are thinking, is exactly what makes us uniquely human. It's the starting point for literally every other discovery we will ever make about ourselves and the universe around us. To truly understand this necessity, we're going to take a meticulous micro to macro journey today. We'll start small and zoom all the way out. Number 1, the mystery of the self. Number 2, rewiring the mind. Number 3, cultivating a moral compass. Number 4, shaping technology and medicine. Number 5, solving global crises. And finally, number 6, the collective human consciousness. Let's get started. Section 1, the mystery of the self, the individual perspective. And this brilliantly illustrates how investigating consciousness is the main way we discover our true self. Think about it. Without self-awareness, we are merely reacting to the world on autopilot, right? Understanding our own conscious state allows us to actively manage our emotions and our actions instead of being controlled by them. We actually see this every day now with introspective smartphone apps like Dailyo that help us track our moods, or even just the simple, timeless practice of daily journaling. We are all, in our own ways, searching for that core self, and humanity has pursued this self-awareness across vastly different cultures and eras. Take the ancient Eastern approach from Vedanta philosophy, for example. They have a practice called neti-neti, which translates to not this, not this. It's like peeling an onion. It's a rigorous process of finding the true conscious self by stripping away and eliminating everything that is not your true essence. You acknowledge, hey, I am not my fleeting anger, I am not my temporary physical pain. Now contrast that with the Western approach we just talked about, Descartes' assertion of the thinking self. Both of these are incredibly rigorous studies of consciousness, and yet they arrive at the exact same ultimate goal, defining the fundamental core of who we really are.
Section 2, rewiring the individual mind, mental health and cognition.
So once we begin to understand that core self, we unlock this incredible ability to actually rewire our own minds. Exploring our awareness directly impacts major mental health conditions like depression and anxiety. In fact, clinical research definitively proves that investigating altered states of consciousness through practices like deep mindfulness or meditation physically reduces cortisol levels in the human body. And cortisol, if you didn't know, is our primary stress hormone. We see this applied practically in modern psychology all the time through the fundamental mechanisms of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. These therapies quite literally employ conscious thought patterns to combat depression and break negative mental cycles. The steps are actually incredibly clear and systematic. First, you consciously observe your thoughts. Just watch them happen. Second, you actively suspend judgment of those thoughts. You don't label them good or bad. Doing this consistently achieves the third and fourth steps, greatly enhancing your mental resilience and significantly decreasing your emotional reactivity. It is an optimized, deeply conscious way to heal the mind from the inside out.
But studying consciousness isn't just about healing. It's also a real game changer for cognitive enhancement. Consider the concept of the flow state. This was popularized by the renowned psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It describes an optimized state of consciousness characterized by intense focus, heightened productivity, and a feeling of complete immersion. I want you to think of a time you were absolutely absorbed in playing a video game or maybe playing a competitive sport where the rest of the world just melted away. You weren't thinking about your grocery list or your emails. You were purely 100% in the zone. That right there, that is a conscious state of peak performance. Today, cognitive enhancement platforms like Duolingo for learning languages or Lumosity for brain training deliberately leverage these exact principles of consciousness-focused engagement. By understanding exactly how the mind enters a flow state, we can acquire new skills and boost our problem-solving abilities way faster and more efficiently than ever before.
Section 3. Cultivating a moral compass. Ethical development.
As we zoom out slightly from personal cognition, we start to realize that consciousness is actually the absolute core of ethical reasoning. Think about it. Without a conscious awareness of another person's internal state, empathy simply cannot exist. By studying how our minds connect with others, we foster the empathy and altruism necessary to make sound ethical judgments, both personally and professionally. Historically, we've seen the sheer power of individual conscious action through figures like Mahatma Gandhi and his practice of ahimsa, or nonviolence. His deep, conscious ethical reasoning literally altered his personal conduct, and that ultimately motivated massive societal transformation. Today, we see modern systemic action reflecting this exact same ancient principle through structured school programs like Roots of Empathy and Empathy Circles. These programs actively teach children how to consciously identify emotions in others through active listening and emotional identification. We are systematically engineering a more moral, deeply connected society simply by expanding the conscious awareness of the next generation. It's pretty amazing when you step back and look at it.
Section 4. Shaping Technology in Medicine, the Social Perspective.
Now, let's zoom out to the societal level. As our understanding of shared consciousness grows, it naturally fosters broader societal harmony. We see this in initiatives like the UN's World Interfaith Harmony Week or the Human Library, which is this amazing concept where you can borrow a person instead of a book to hear their unique life story. It proves that acknowledging the diversity of human consciousness actively mitigates conflict. But beyond social harmony, decoding consciousness is completely revolutionizing our technological and medical landscapes. We now have AI virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa. Their natural language processing architectures are heavily inspired by human conscious decision-making. We also have brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. By decoding the neural correlates of consciousness, which, by the way, is just the scientific term for the specific brain activity tied directly to our thoughts, we are creating technology that allows paralyzed individuals to operate robotic limbs using just their minds. Companies like Elon Musk's Neuralink are aggressively pushing these boundaries to help people regain crucial motor functions. And in medicine, advanced anesthesia research relies entirely on a profound, precise understanding of what biological states create and suspend human consciousness to keep patients safe during major surgery. It all comes back to understanding the mind.
Section 5. Solving Global Crises Together, Collective Action.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that when we examine the emergence of shared awareness at a macro level, we discover what is arguably the primary engine for human survival. Mobilizing an entire society to fight massive, borderless challenges requires a unified collective consciousness. We literally have to be aware of the same reality to fight the same problems. The sources provide a stark example of collective action with modern environmentalism. Greta Thunberg and the Fridays for Future movement are not just about policy or politics. They represent a profound demonstration of collective eco-consciousness. The shared awareness of environmental concerns acts as a catalyst. It transforms individual, isolated worry into highly organized, unified global movements. We see the exact same mechanism at play in events like Earth Hour. That's a synchronized, conscious decision by millions of people across the planet to acknowledge a single, shared reality regarding our planet's energy and future. And this shared understanding is universally vital across all domains of crisis. The sources specifically note how the global response to the COVID-19 pandemic relied entirely on a collective, shared understanding of health precautions. Things like widespread vaccination and respirator use, these required people to consciously align their behaviors on a massive global scale to effectively mitigate the crisis. Similarly, the #MeToo movement utilized a shared global awareness to bring the systemic prevalence of sexual harassment and assault right into the collective spotlight. In all of these cases, whether we are talking about environmental threats, global health, or sweeping social justice, the sheer power of a shared, conscious global understanding is the absolute essential driver for systemic societal change.
Section 6. The Collective Human Consciousness, Synthesis, and Culture.
So, as we wrap up our micro to macro journey,
It's vital to recognize that exploring the mind isn't just a clinical or scientific endeavor. It is the ultimate bridge between science, art, and philosophy. It's the very foundation that enriches our human culture, moving seamlessly from the solitary individual all the way up to our shared collective imagination. This synthesis is deeply embedded in our greatest cultural touchstones. Look at Salvador Dali's surrealist art. It gave us profound, striking visual insights into the unconscious mind. Literature like James Joyce's Ulysses pioneered the stream of consciousness technique to perfectly mirror the chaotic, beautiful inner workings of the human psyche. Even ancient texts like the incredible Indian epic, the Mahabharata, use characters like Arjuna and Krishna to deeply explore the timeless moral quandaries of human consciousness. And today, Hollywood blockbusters like The Matrix and Inception captivate millions and millions of viewers precisely because they play with our deepest, lingering philosophical questions about the true nature of consciousness and reality itself.
So the crucial point here is how wonderfully interconnected this whole shebang really is. The study of consciousness inherently links the micro with the macro. Consider Jon Kabat-Zinn's globally recognized mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR programs. On an individual micro level, these programs brilliantly help a single person manage their personal stress, their anxiety, and their internal chaos. But what happens when those exact same conscious practices are implemented at scale across massive companies? Well, they actively increase organizational productivity, teamwork, and societal efficiency. Personal introspection fundamentally and inextricably connects our subjective, internal human experience with humanity's objective, external pursuit of purpose and progress.
And this connection might run deeper than we ever even imagined. It brings up a truly mind-bending question. Does human consciousness have a collective, measurable impact on the physical world? The sources highlight the fascinating Global Consciousness Project. This is an ongoing initiative that continuously examines the behavior of random number generators positioned all across the globe. What researchers have observed is absolutely staggering. These seemingly random machines appear to synchronize and output non-random patterns during massive, globally focused events. We're talking about major tragedies or unprecedented global celebrations where millions of minds are focused on the exact same thing. It is a stunning area of research that implies collective human consciousness, when focused on a single event, may actually have a tangible, measurable impact on physical reality. It completely blurs the line between the individual mind and the energetic fabric of society.
Ultimately, the entire scope of our journey today comes down to this powerful concluding thought. Comprehending consciousness is more important than ever to address collective challenges and enable personal development. In our modern era of incredibly accelerated technological and social change, understanding the primary tool we use to perceive reality, our own mind, is the absolute key. It provides us with the inner resilience to grow as individuals and the shared empathy required to cultivate a harmonious, thriving global society. If our minds are the ultimate key to reality, the question is, what reality are you going to consciously choose to create tomorrow?
Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the absolute necessity of studying human consciousness. If you found this explainer as fascinating to learn from as I did to put together, please take a quick moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue bringing you these meticulously structured explainers. I look forward to reading your thoughts below. See you in the next one.